Allium and Peloporascum. This is elephant garlic. This is what we're planting today here at Old Ways Rising Farm. I'm going to show you how we handle our garlics, this and regular garlic, although I like the elephant garlic quite a bit better. I'll talk about why. And this is going to be a short video because this is a plant I don't want you to overthink. Garlics are perennials in most North American climates, at least until you go up into real northern Canada. And they're very, very hardy and very forgiving plants. These big, gigantic bulbs on these elephant garlics come out of a horrible drought year in a basically unamended garden. Okay? Elephant garlic is the species which comes from northern Europe. The common grocery store garlic, Allium sativum, comes from southern Europe. So this is actually the more hardy of the two species. Okay? The bed prep, the history of this bed is it was kind of an experiment I did a couple years ago with taking the ideas of hugelkultur and trying to turn it into a flat bed. I really don't like it. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to show it on the channel. Hugel beds need to be a mound. Flat gardens go with double digging. I did a video on that recently. For this year, I just filled it up again with some compost you see in the back. Fertilized it with a bit of wood ashes because these is all root crops, need quite a bit of potash. So there's wood ashes down. I put 1 cup on a 10-foot square area of Epsom salts. So that's here for some micronutrient fertilizer. I did not add any lime because I limed it pretty heavy when I did it. So there's plenty of calcium in the soil. On top of that compost, I put a layer of some fresh manure so that there's a little bit of nitrogen there. And it's not straight manure. This is cast-all bedding, so it's half wood chips, just with a little bit of manure mixed in there. And to plant garlic, all you do is stick it in the ground so that it's covered. Done. Don't overthink it. These elephant garlics, again, Northern European crop, hardy perennial. You can even naturalize these. You can take these, you can plant them in a field and ignore them until you need to come back to them, just like you can do with Jerusalem artichokes. Okay? They do like their space, though. You want to put them a good handspan apart when you tuck them in. You don't need to worry too much about depth. Once they recognize that they are in a moist environment, they are going to start to produce roots. And the roots they produce are contractile roots. So they will grow up and then they can actually shrink back in, and the garlic bulb will pull itself to its own desired depth. All you need to do is get it in some moist soil and get its nose under the ground. Okay? Now, I like to plant these with enough space between rows, so there's a row, here's a row, that next year when they start to grow, I can come in and I can intercrop. What will I intercrop? Literally anything. Again, it's garlic. Don't overthink it. Okay? Now, the biggest complaint against elephant garlic is the cost. Usually when you buy these to get started, a package is only going to contain 1 clove. And that clove only has a few bulblets in it. Most of these are in 3 to 5s. Okay? But grow it 1 year, the next year you'll have enough to grow a whole patch. So as with many things, if you want to save a little bit of money, you have to pay a little bit of time and have a little bit of patience. But this is homesteading, and it just takes patience. So it's a few minutes later. It only took a few minutes to plant this bed, but it's all finished up now. It took me about 10 bulbs to plant this 10 by 10 patch. So as I mentioned in the first clip, yes, I recognize that it's expensive to buy the elephant garlic bulbs initially, but 1 bulb can turn into a whole patch very quickly. Okay? That's the first thing I want to mention. The last thing I want to mention here is planting time. When do you plant your garlic? Again, it's a very, very forgiving crop. So you can start planting it anytime in mid to late summer after you harvest it, and you harvest it as soon as the plants start to go down. Okay? So you can pull it up, split the bulbs, and plant it right back out if you want. The plant will start to grow those contractile roots, start to develop the grow shoot, and then go dormant for the year. Okay? You can plant it all the way through the season after the first couple of frosts, as long as you still have 2 to 4 weeks of unfrozen ground ahead of you. Okay? It doesn't need to start developing that shoot before it goes dormant, but it does need to sink those contractile roots and start to pull itself down. That's how it resists frost, heave, and frost damage. Okay? So you need to have a little bit of time between when you plant it and the freeze up. But that's flexible too. Again, this is a very hardy Northern European plant that's very difficult to goof up with. Okay? Now, Allium sativum, the more commonly grown garlic, the grocery store garlic. There are very, very hardy varieties of that, especially your Germanic varieties. Okay? But it is a little bit pickier, but only a little bit pickier. You need to research your varieties a little bit and pick a variety that's happy in your climate, and then don't overthink it after that. Right? You can deal with it basically the same way as you deal with these, but they do need a slightly richer soil. They need substantially more moisture. Our German red garlic did produce a yield this year, but nowhere near as good as the elephant garlic. And for next year, we have plenty of elephant garlic to plant. We don't need the German red anymore. We're just going all elephant garlic, probably from this point forward. But it still did produce a yield with no more maintenance than this, just not as good a yield in our droughty year. So it does need wetter, richer conditions, and some varieties need warmer climate. But as long as you have chosen the variety well for the climate in which you're gardening, this video we have a photobombing chicken instead of a cat. Got to change it up for you folks, keep things new and interesting. But as long as you've picked your variety well, you don't need to overthink Allium sativum either. Okay? So I hope that you will consider garlics for your garden. I hope that you will go out and get some this year and get them in the ground. Even if you don't see this video until you're only a couple of weeks before freeze up. Still go get some garlic, plant your garlic, and you'll have a good hardy crop on your farm. So I hope you're enjoying this video, and give it a thumbs up to show the algorithm that you are enjoying it. And I hope that you'll see us next time here at Old Ways Rising Farm.